Did you know that some flavored coffee drinks can have as much added sugar as 2 bottles of soda? Before you head to the drive-thru to grab your favorite Dunkin' Donuts drink, you want to watch this video to learn the best low-carb drinks at Dunkin' Donuts so you can know what to order without spiking your blood sugar levels. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, Erin here with Healthy Mom, Happy Family, and I'm so excited to have you with me today because look, I know it can be delicious to head to the drive-thru and get that large flavored coffee. But if you want to keep your blood sugar in a healthy range and you want to cut down on the amount of added sugar that you eat every day, then you need to be aware of what you're actually drinking. And I want you to watch today's video to the end because I am sharing everything you need to know about ordering the best low-carb drinks at Dunkin' Donuts, which ones are already on the menu, and which ones you can even create for yourself that taste amazing but won't spike your blood sugar. Now, before we dive in and get started, I just want to remind you that if you are looking for tips and tricks on managing type 2 diabetes and keeping your blood sugar in a healthy range while still eating what you love, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. All right, so let's talk about some of the lowest carb drinks at Dunkin' Donuts because some Dunkin' Donuts drinks are already low in sugar. Some actually have 0 grams of sugar and 0 carb, which means they're practically going to have no impact at all on your blood sugar. So let's first look at those 0 carb options. First on the list are things like brewed coffee, espresso, and cold brew. Now, you really can never go wrong with these, right? If they're iced or even if they're hot, same with the espresso or the cold brewed coffee, they're going to have the lowest carbohydrate content because they have no added sugar and no carbohydrate in them naturally. Now, if you add a little bit of milk or if you add some sweetener or flavorings, of course, that can start to add up. So watch how much milk you're adding. And if you do add a flavoring or a sweetener, choose the 0 carb or the sugar-free options. Now, if you think about the flavor shots available, you can get the sugar-free flavor shots. You can add them to pretty much any cup you want to really amp up the flavor and sweeten it a little bit. If you want to add some sweeteners, you can use sugar-free sweeteners like stevia, monk fruit extract, allulose. Those are all great options that can give a little bit of sweetness without having any impact on blood sugar. Now, as far as milk goes, do remember that milk and cream can have a little bit of carbohydrate depending on your choice. And your goal really is to keep your cup under 10 grams of carbohydrate. So a little splash absolutely is not going to have an impact. But if you're putting in a whole cup, you want to account for those additional carbohydrates. Now, if you do want to have an iced tea, make sure it's unsweetened, or if you are sweetening it, make sure you're using those sweeteners that won't impact blood sugar. Again, like the monk fruit, like the stevia, like the allulose, great options. They're not going to raise your blood sugar. Now, when it comes to teas at Dunkin', there are actually a few teas that I just wanted to kind of call out so you know what to look for on the menu, and these have no impact on blood sugar. You can get the bold breakfast black tea, the Harmony leaf green tea, the Hibiscus Kiss Herbal infused tea, the Chamomile Fields Herbal Infusion, and even the Coldman Herbal Infusion. All of those 0 carbs, 0 impact on your blood sugar. All right, so let's talk about the cappuccino. Now, a medium cappuccino with skim or whole milk will give you exactly 10 grams of carbohydrate. If you want to go with the small, you're going to get only 7 grams of carb because there's less milk in your order. Now, what you want to do is either order it hot or even over ice. It's not going to change as far as the carbohydrate goes. It's really up to you. But if you do want to spice it up and add some flavor, you can go with the flavor shots that don't contain any added sugar, or you can use sugar-free sweetener for a little bit of sweetness without those extra carbs. Now, the macchiato is basically an espresso topped with some steamed milk and some foam. So because you're adding a little bit of that milk, there is a small amount of carb, minimal, not going to have a big impact on your blood sugar. But what you do want to watch out for is if they're adding any sort of sweetener to this, you are going to see an impact on blood sugar. So generally, if you get one with coconut milk, you're getting just 3 grams of carb. If you're using regular cow's milk, you're going to still be right at that 10 gram of carb. So still very minimal impact, especially when you think about cow's milk also provides provides some protein, which is going to help to slow down how quickly those carbs are digested in the body. Now you can order this hot or cold. It's not really going to change the amount of carbohydrate. If you do want to customize the flavor a bit, just go for those sugar-free sweeteners or those sugar-free flavor shots, and that's going to be your best bet to change up the flavor, add that sweetness without the blood sugar spike. Okay, so let's talk about lattes, because a lot of the options at Dunkin' are going to have more than 10 grams of carbohydrate, but there are still a few options that you can choose. So if you get any size latte with coconut milk, or if you get the small made with skim milk or whole milk, those three options are going to be under the 10 gram of carbohydrate. So it really comes down to your milk choices there and the size that you're ordering in order to keep those carbohydrates low. Now, if you are wondering about where the carbohydrates are coming from when you think about a Dunkin' Donuts drink, there's a few sources. So the milk and the cream that you choose is going to have a source of carbohydrate as well as the sweetener. Now with milks, it's going to depend how much carbohydrate you're getting based on the milk that you choose. So there's cow's milk, coconut milk, almond milk, oat milk, so many options, right? And they all have different amounts of carb. So in 1 cup, you get 12 grams of carb in cow's milk, 8 grams of carb in coconut milk, 5 grams of carb in almond milk, and 16 grams of carb in oat milk. So you can see that oat milk has the highest amount where the coconut milk has the lowest. But depending on how much you're using, it could be a minimal difference or it could be a lot. So size does matter. Now, if you think about things like creamers, heavy cream, these are much, much lower in carbohydrate, but I do not want you to reach for, a cup of heavy cream as your replacement to a cup of milk in a drink just to keep the carbs low. Because remember, these have a lot of saturated fat. And if we have too much saturated fat in the diet, especially long term, this can increase insulin resistance, which makes it harder to manage blood sugar anyway. So not the best option. It's fine for a splash, but don't swap out the milk for cream. Not going to be the best choice when it comes to calories or fat content. Now, of course, you probably guessed that the flavor shots and the sweeteners add a significant amount of carbohydrates and added sugar to the drinks. So let's talk about which ones are going to be the best choices and which won't. If you think about the flavor swirls at Dunkin' Donuts, they can add as much as 150 calories or more to your cup, which pretty much all comes from added sugar. So you can just imagine how much that can cause your blood sugar to spike. But at the same time, the unsweetened flavor shots, they don't have any carbohydrates. So you really don't have to worry about adding those as much. So if you're not sure or you don't know what's available to you at your Dunkin', ask your barista what's available, ask what kind of sweetened flavor shots they have on the menu, because those are going to be your best options for adding flavor without the blood sugar spike. All right, so let's talk about how you can build your own low-carb Dunkin' Donuts drink, because there's so many options and you can get really, really creative here. So a couple things we have to think about: the sweetener you're going to use, the type of flavor shot you're going to use, and the type of milk that you are going to use. So when it comes to the milk, depending on how much you're going to use, obviously this matters, but if you want to go with the almond milk or the coconut milk, that will keep the carbohydrate the lowest in your drink. Then choosing any of the unsweetened flavor shots. And what's really cool about Dunkin' Donuts is they have so many options of these sugar-free flavor shots that you can add to coffee and you can add to tea. So every Dunkin' varies a little bit in what's available to you, but ask at your location what types of flavors they have, because it can really add a lot of variety to your drink without the sugar. And then when it comes to the sweetener, if you want to sweeten up your cup, try to go with the ones that are low to no calorie. So monk fruit extract, sucralose, allulose, stevia, all of those are going to have no impact on your blood sugar, but add some sweetness too. Now, just to give you a little bit of a list of some of the sugar-free flavor shots that Dunkin' does have available, in case you're looking, you can get French vanilla, hazelnut, caramel, toasted almond, raspberry, blueberry, coconut. I mean, the list is pretty incredible. So whether you're doing coffee or doing tea, there are flavors there for you that will not spike your blood sugar. So you can get really creative. You can kind of mix it up depending on the season too. Raspberry and blueberry to me are kind of summertime in tea, and maybe you want to save the hazelnut for your coffee in the winter. Whatever you want to do works. But also give thought to how much you're going to put in as far as the milk goes too, because milk, although it contains many beneficial nutrients, is a source of carbohydrate. Now, the one thing I want you to remember, and this is very important when you're thinking about coffee and tea at Dunkin' Donuts, is even if there are no carbs and no sugar, it can still have an impact on blood sugar. And that's because in some people, caffeine can raise blood sugar. And some people metabolize caffeine much slower than others, and those people are going to see the biggest impact in blood sugar when they're drinking a caffeinated beverage. Now, in order to know how caffeine impacts your blood sugar, you need to test it. So if you are taking in a completely sugar-free, carb-free drink that contains caffeine and you notice your blood sugar is rising, it's possible that you're sensitive to the caffeine. And then your best bet is to choose a decaf option whenever you can. All right, so the bottom line on Dunkin' Donuts and flavored drinks when it comes to blood sugar management is that you can absolutely have your flavored coffees. You just have to make some smart choices. So look for things on the menu that don't add a large amount of added carbohydrates and added sugars to your cup. So you can use those sugar-free flavor shots. You can use the lower carb milk options like the coconut and the almond if you want, and look at the portions because they matter too. Now, whenever you're in doubt, go on the Dunkin' Donuts website. They have the nutrition facts posted right there, so you can see exactly how many carbs and grams of sugar are in each beverage available, as well as in those flavor shots. All right, so I want to hear from you. What is your absolute favorite Dunkin' Donuts beverage? Tell me in the comments below and let me know how it impacts your blood sugar. And if you use some of these tips and tricks to build your own low-carb Dunkin' Donuts drink, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you made and how it impacted your blood sugar. So comment below and let me know. And if you liked today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss new tips, tricks, and recipes. Thanks so much for joining me.